back over to After Effects. Let's make a change inside of After Effects. Let's just go in and maybe grab this clip here, and let's just do a color effect over here. Let's do hand tinted, which will sort of turn this guy black and white and keep some of the reds. So now I've sort of got some of the reds there in the background. He's sort of black and white. And I go back over to Encore at this point. Of course, you can go back into Premiere, back into Encore, and edit these any particular way that you want to. And sometimes it'll take Encore anywhere from 15 seconds to a minute to update, depending on what you've actually done. Okay, let's go back and look at our title. Okay, so the title came through. I can go ahead and play that. And let's go ahead and see if our bird came through. And there's our bird, so you can see that it's black and white. Actually, his feet have got some color, so it's pretty cool effect. And the other thing, remember I told you that it was actually longer now? So you don't really see any time change here, because what you're going to have to do is to tell Encore that you actually want to stretch that out so it doesn't change your markers at all. And now you'll see that I have more information, so it doesn't really change your in and your out points. It sort of leaves that up to you to make that change so you can stretch it and affect it that way. So at this point, I can go ahead and decide to export this out. I won't go into a whole lot of detail with Encore in this particular demo, but for Blu-ray, a couple of quick changes. You can now do 50 gig Blu-ray disc, and you can now have menus that pop up in the middle of your movie that overlay over top of the video and allow you to navigate without having to actually stop the video. It's one of the features of Blu-ray that's pretty slick. Also, under Flash, you're going to notice that you now have H.264 support or MPEG-4 support with F4V. A lot of people were requesting presets with varying quality and various sizes, so now you've got those to work with. You've got different templates now that you can use, and we even support our own Flash Media server for streaming, so lots of great changes. Let's jump back over to Premiere Pro and talk a little bit about export. Now we actually have background encoding, so let me show you how this works. We're going to go to File, Export, Media. And from here, I'm just going to go ahead and pick a format, so I'll leave it at QuickTime. Let's go ahead and go down to Video Codec. By the way, if you don't get this window to pop up if you're trying to follow along, you may have to flip on the advanced mode to get these to show up. That's this little window over here. And go ahead and select, well, I'll just choose Apple ProRes, and let's just set this for 1920. 1080, and keep in mind that Apple ProRes requires that you have the Apple Studio installed on your Mac in order to encode. They do now offer a cross-platform decoder for Windows, which is great. So I can take this Premiere Pro output and actually bring it over to a Windows machine and have it read the Apple ProRes, so you can get more information on their website. I do have a number of customers that actually use P2 to archive, so they like to take their entire timeline when they're done with it and archive it in P2 and then store it on a DVD data disk. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and just choose this as 1080i and leave all my presets the same. That's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and kick one of those out. And you'll see it brings up the Adobe Media Encoder now, and it's waiting for me. I've got that one QuickTime Apple ProRes waiting to be exported out. I've got a P2 one. I'll go ahead and start the queue, so it'll start crunching on this particular first request that's in there. So I'll let it start to render this out. Now while it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and create a new sequence. And I'm going to go ahead and pick one for my my phone. So I'm going to go down here and choose iPod setting here, and I'm going to call this iPhone. And let me just come over here and make sure that that's all at 30 frames a second. Let's just set this up for 30 frames a second. It's fine. I'm now going to take this mixed timeline that we had and drag it into the iPhone sequence or timeline here. And it's actually too big, so because it's a smaller format, 640 by 480, I'm going to come down here and scale to frame size. So now I've got my whole sequence now ready to export for the iPhone. So all my different formats, and I can do this for any number of formats that I'd like to. And at this point, all I want to do now is just go File, Export Media again. And I'm going to tell it that I want H.264. Go ahead and choose iPod Video Large. And that setting looks good, and say OK. And now you'll notice that it's encoding the first one, it's queued up the P2, and it's queued up the iPhone, and I'm all set. And again, I can continue to go back and work in Premiere Pro and do all the things that I need to do. And in fact, I can go back over here. I'm going to save this Premiere Pro project. You can even quit Premiere Pro, because this is a background operation that will continue to work. So you can go ahead and just minimize this, go out and work on other particular projects, maybe back into AE or do something in Encore. All this is going to happen in the background. And that's a quick look at the Adobe Creative Suite CS4 Production Premium with new AVCHD support, and as you just saw, a whole lot more.